three friends went to do cave exploration, which they had been looking forward to all summer. Their expectations were to enjoy the mysterious and chilling caves, but what was about to happen to them later on was something that they could have never forgotten for the rest of their lives. William Coughlin was 27, an oak forest environmentalist and camping enthusiast. He loved being outdoors and spent most of his time with his friends in the woods and near bodies of water. His mum, Marge, said William had a special affection for feral animals. He took a job with the Federal Environmental Protection Agency because of his desire to protect the environment. Later in life, William delved into caving when a friend introduced him to a small cave near his home. Their initial exploration was carefree, spending only a few hours navigating the cave without equipment. No issues arose, boosting their confidence to tackle more technical caves. Unaware of caving accidents, they assumed nothing could go wrong. Despite his lack of cave knowledge, William found fascination in discovering a whole new world beneath the surface. Even though William and his friends were new to cave exploring and didn't know much about it, they were determined to tackle a challenging cave. His friend James suggested a trip to City Cave, Kentucky, known for its diverse cave systems. Cave City is incredible because it has stuff above and below ground. On the surface, there are shops, restaurants, and museums. But beneath, there are tons of caves weaving through Kentucky. They picked Buzzard Roost Cave in Cave City because it looked the most exciting in the brochure. Now the question is, can beginners conquer Buzzard Roost Cave, which has dangerous drops and tight spaces? The answer is simply no. It is a tourist cave with deep drops and tight squeezes, primarily not for beginners. You have to be super careful, as many spots can seriously hurt you or worse. Sharp stalactites and stalagmites add to the challenge, especially on the slippery cave floor. It's not your average cave trip. It's an adventure with risks. However, the three friends marked this cave their first official caving expedition. William, usually sticking close to home, eagerly accepted the thrill of venturing beyond his usual 100-mile radius. The charm of danger captivated them, convinced that conquering a challenging cave would be a source of pride. Unafraid of risk, they sought the thrill of a lifetime. On May 28, 1993, William James Jacala and Kevin Feely started their journey from Illinois to Cave City, coinciding with Memorial Day weekend. Amidst the busy attractions, their focus was solely on the vast cave network waiting to be discovered. Intrigued by Buzzard Roost Cave, they consulted the brochure, realizing two enticing tours for public exploration. The brochure had two tours, a historic one for easy exploring and a wild cave tour for the brave. The historic tour was a guided stroll through safe spots. The wild cave tour was meant for daring folks, and it explored more challenging areas by crawling and squeezing. They picked the historic tour, which is happening first. Before starting, all three signed a form. It talked about cave dangers and released operators from blame if something went wrong. Each caver did not have his own form to sign, but signed one document passed amongst the group. They may have voluntarily signed the release, however, the dangers of the cave were not shared with William in the group. Before signing the document, William did not know of the risks inside the cave. So, the group put all their trust in the tour guide and the cave operators to keep them safe, instead of relying on their own knowledge of caving. In 1998, Kentucky made a rule. It says, if a cave owner doesn't charge for people to explore their cave, they can't be blamed if someone gets hurt. This helps cave owners feel less worried about getting sued. But if someone charges money for people to use their cave or land, they become a business and different rules apply. William and James knew about the risks, but wanted to explore the cave. Kevin Feely chose to stay above ground. They finished the leisurely tour with a guide named Dave Hardin and decided to join the more challenging Wild Cave tour later. William, James, and 4 others paid the guide for a Wild Cave tour. The guide then handed out another form to sign, just like the first one. Each person got 2 flashlights before the tour. The guide said he'd lead, and everyone had to follow closely, not splitting up until the tour ended. The question arose, did the guide's warnings go unnoticed as he emphasized the dangers of the treacherous tunnels they were about to crawl through? Despite the guide's attempt to dissuade them, William and James remained steadfast in their eagerness for the long-awaited adventure. However, as the group agreed to the challenge, they were taken aback by the lack of essential gear. Shouldn't true cave experts know the perils and demand helmets, extra supplies, and multiple light sources for such a risky cave exploration? They entered the cave, loving every twist and turn. Excitement and fear filled William and James, adrenaline pumping. They reached the halfway point smoothly, thinking the cave wasn't too tricky, but they wanted more challenge in the second half. The guide encouraged the group as they started to make their way to the lower parts of the cave. This is where the technical aspects of the tour began to present themselves. After crawling through a tight passage of the cave, the group reached a 30-foot hanging cable ladder with wooden rungs. The guide called out to the group that this was the first ladder. The group descended the ladder, crawled a short distance, and reached the second ladder, a 20-foot hanging cable ladder. Coughlin repeatedly found himself wedged in the initial tunnel. Standing 6 feet tall and weighing over 200 pounds, 90.7 kilos, he was too large to navigate the narrow passage. Although shorter, the second ladder was more challenging because it required people to squeeze between 2 tight rock walls. It was not a smooth descent. The cave guide first descended the ladder and then waited at the bottom for the rest of the group to descend one at a time. As they descended, the guide held each caver to prevent them from spinning around on the ladder and becoming disoriented. Did William's initial thrill of exploration turn into unease as the cave revealed unexpected challenges? Now, William started feeling a bit uneasy. The cave turned out trickier than he thought. After tackling the second ladder, the guide led them through a tight crawlway, and they descended a bit to find the third ladder, a 25-foot aluminium one against a rock wall. No problem there. They crawled and fell through the passages for about 45 minutes, reaching the fourth ladder, a 10-foot aluminium one against a rock wall. William decided to face the group and take pictures as the guide explained the safe way down. No one was told to face forward. They'd done it differently on previous ladders. While snapping photos, he moved away for a better angle, unknowingly stepping onto an unstable ledge. The ledge broke as William shifted his weight and he tumbled backwards into the cave. Plummeting about 50 feet, he smacked his head on the cave floor, instantly knocking him out. The group, horrified, looked on as their friend lay motionless. Panicking, the cave guide called for help on his radio, urgently seeking assistance for the injured William. The group anxiously awaited rescue. Meanwhile, William regained consciousness, but he was disoriented and in extreme pain. He had suffered a severe head injury and was bleeding profusely. With limited resources and the cave's isolation, how did they cope while waiting anxiously for the rescue team? The other group members tried to comfort him while they waited for help. The cave guide attempted to provide basic first aid, but the situation was dire. William needed urgent medical attention, and the group was deep inside the cave, making it challenging for rescue teams to reach them quickly. The group waited anxiously for the rescue team, each minute dragging on forever. William, though awake, was getting weaker, and the seriousness of his head injury became clearer. The cave guide kept saying help was coming, but tension filled the cave. While waiting, The group did their best to make William comfy in the harsh cave conditions. They huddled around, giving him words of comfort. Their voices echoed, making the cave feel even more isolated and urgent. After what felt like forever, the rescue team's distant approach could be heard. The cave guide spoke to them using a handheld radio, updating them on William and the cave layout. The rescue crew, geared up and ready, started their descent. They skillfully maneuvered through tight spots and ladders, reaching William. Assessing his condition, they understood the seriousness. Securing him on a stretcher, they carefully climbed the ladders, avoiding further harm. Exiting the cave, the friends, once excited, now followed with worry. The once thrilling adventure now felt like an arduous journey, shadowed by the harsh reality of their friend's situation. Slowly and carefully, the rescue team helped William climb up step by step, ensuring he was safe. When they finally got out, the bright sunlight and natural sounds welcomed them. The medical team quickly took over, rushing William to the nearest hospital. Hanging upside down, stuck in a narrow cave passage 50 feet below ground, William Coughlin's exciting caving trip with friends twisted into a desperate fight for survival. Trapped for a harrowing 7 hours, he tried to crawl to safety, but tragically lost his life the next day due to his injuries. Word about the accident spread in the small town of Cave City, leading to talks about how safe cave tours really are and the roles of both the guides and the people exploring. William's mishap made everyone realize the dangers of exploring caves, even in places meant for tourists. The fallout from that risky caving trip deeply affected William, his friends, and the cave guides. It sparked discussions about safety rules, the effectiveness of warnings, and the duties of guides and adventurers in such thrilling pursuits. The Buzzard Roost Cave incident led to safety changes in cave tours, stressing thorough briefings, proper gear, and a keen awareness of potential dangers. William's story became a cautionary tale, echoing in the caving community and beyond. If you like this video and want to see more tragic stories like this, subscribe to our channel Tales of Tragedy now and make sure to watch our other videos as well.